Ooh,
It's
fancy.
official. Okay, we are going to get started in just a moment.
Who else is coming from you? Just you?
I think it'll be me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this Restaurants Care Resilience Fund Zoom. I'm Alicia Harshfield, Executive Director of the California Restaurant Foundation, and we are a nonprofit that serves the restaurant community. And you know us because of the Resilience Fund grant we provided, and we're very proud to be able to offer these monthly Zooms to provide you with access to experts so you can continue to grow and strengthen your business. This morning, we have a really great topic. It is on menu refresh to maximize profit. So thanks for sharing your time with us. You may drop a question in the chat or Q&A if you have anything along the way. We are recording this and we'll send it out to everyone as well. So before we dive into this topic, we want to remind everyone about the work we do as a foundation. We also work with high school students in culinary arts training programs to get them excited about a career in food service. And we provide scholarships for students who are pursuing anything food or hospitality related as a degree. And then, of course, with Restaurants Care, in addition to the grants to restaurants, we provide grants to individuals in the food and beverage industry who may be facing a hard time, like a housing disaster, death in the family, an illness, an accident, or an injury. You can inform your team members and employees that should they be in that kind of a crisis, they can apply for a grant directly from our foundation. And the grant maximum is about $2,500 for an individual. So it's a really important program to make sure your team knows about. Okay, Wells Fargo has supported our foundation to provide these monthly Zooms. We're very grateful to them. And now on to our big topic. It's again, menu refresh to maximize profit. We have an amazing expert joining us. Her name is Pia Tinsley, and she's the principal and executive creative director of The Loft Creative, and she's on our board of directors. So I'm going to turn it over to Pia so she can get started. Thanks, Pia.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Okay, thank you, Alicia. Again, my name is Pia Tinsley, and I have a design studio called Loft Creative. For the past 30 years, we've been specializing in restaurant marketing, restaurant advertising, restaurant print collateral branding, and of course, menu design, which is why I've been asked to be here with you guys. Here is this first slide is just to kind of give you an introduction of the kind of brands that we've been fortunate enough to work with over the years. Not only national brands, but also smaller 1 to 10 unit restaurants. Okay, then next slide. Today we are going to be talking about maximizing profits. But first, it's really important for me to explain that it's not all about that. It's very important that we talk about thoughtful menu design. So there's a lot of follow-up steps that you're going to want to take up in order to design a menu. So we're going to talk about these items right here that I have on the introduction page. And then I'm going to show you some examples for before and after to kind of clarify the process. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so the importance of thoughtful menu design. I know we're here to talk about profitability, but what does that mean exactly? So it means that we need to start with a thoughtful process. Profitability involves more than just the money. Your menu needs to be designed to assist in all aspects of your business. You want to assist your customer, your guest. We need to talk to the staff. We need to help the brand. And of course, we're going to encourage profitability financially. So those are the 4 pillars. How are we going to do this? Number 1, we're going to assist the customer. We're back to the other. Yeah, no, that's right. Okay. Assist the customer. Okay, sorry. I was looking at the slide there. When I say assist the customer, what I mean is we need to create a menu that's easy to read, easy to navigate, which simplifies the decision-making process which in turn increases your guest satisfaction and encourages return visits to your restaurant. When we talk about assisting the staff, we need to promote the menu items that are easy for the kitchen staff to prepare, that are easy for the server to serve, items that have ingredients that hold up really well and come out of the kitchen successfully time and time again. So that's assisting the staff. When we want to assist the brand, this is the third thing to consider. When you're choosing the items to promote on your menu, you want to support the brand. You want to reflect and reinforce your brand by promoting menu items that complement your brand and by adding new menu items as you go along, as you want to grow your brand. And then lastly, we're going to do the profitability, which is the fourth part of the equation. To encourage financial profitability, we're not necessarily promoting items with the highest margin. Don't think that's how you're going to do it. We need to promote items that have a combination of the following: high margin, low food cost, high check average. Okay, so in other words, they don't cost much to make and they're popular with your guests. Okay, next slide, please. Can we do the next slide? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the previous slide. I'm sorry, Alicia. Okay, so here we go. This brings us to the tips and the steps that you're going to take. So before you can actually work on the graphics of this piece, you have to spend a lot of time considering the content. So we call that content analysis. Basically, that's what we just covered, those 4 pillars that we want to include. So you're going to decide which menu items you want your guests to order. They may be signature items or new items or the most popular items on your menu. You've got to decide what's a superstar, what works well. Is there something that perhaps should be eliminated? Primarily, you want to promote menu items that come out of the kitchen easily and consistently, are popular with your guests, reflect your brand, and are profitable. So those are the 4 pillars. And you can still promote other items, but when I say promote, I mean the things that you want your guests to focus on. There's going to be tried and true workhorses that sit in the middle, but when I say promote, I'm specifically talking about the key items that are going to add to your profitability. Okay, next slide, please. So number 2 is organizing the menu layout. This is what we call menu engineering. So we're not talking about designing the graphics yet. At this point, we're just setting up a strategy before you design it. So if you could think of like setting up a grid or a blueprint for what your priorities are. So how you would do that is, first, you group your content into logical menu sections, such as salads and soups, appetizers, entrees, desserts. You want to have as few categories or menu sections as possible. Secondly, you're going to rank every menu item inside each menu section according to what you've determined is profitable. Remember, this was the high margin, low food cost, high check average. So what I do here is you put a number 1, 2, 3 in the order of what you feel is important. It's not going to go on your menu. This is just for your grid. Next, you're going to determine the placement of every item within each section. So within appetizers, what's going to go at the top? What's at the end? What are you going to bury in the middle? Is there something that needs a box around it to really call attention to it? Is there a new item where you have a little new signature next to it? Is there a signature item that everybody should have when they come to your restaurant? Every item needs to be placed strategically, guiding the customer to the offerings that you want them to order. Lastly, you're going to group each section in relationship to the layout itself based on the physical layout of the menu. So consider if it's a 1-page, 2-page, folded, trifold, single call, multiple. This is where your designer really comes in, because designers can organize the content by using time-tested techniques. I'll give you a couple of examples, but based on how your eye scans text and there's also historical customer reaction to different techniques. So when I say techniques, I'm talking about the boxes, icons, colors, that sort of thing. Okay, this is going to bring us to the physical design, which we can see on the next slide. Okay, the physical design of your menu. Now you have all your content organized according to the profitability. Now you can strategize about the look itself. So first, you're going to want to consider these three things: color, style, format. It should be reflective of your brand, your theme, the heritage of your food, the atmosphere inside your dining room, and of course, the demographic of your guests. It's important that you know who your audience is in order to best communicate with them. Consider using warm colors that whet the appetite, like reds, oranges, and golds, where it's appropriate. Decide on format. Is this a paper menu? Is it a throwaway menu? Are you actually doing a menu board? Is this something permanent? Is it folded? All those things. And then you want to consider the graphics that you're going to include. Consider professional photography or illustrated graphics from a stock book. What's appropriate for your brand? Photography, when done professionally, by the way, even though it could be costly, it's a pricey endeavor, but it'll help you sell your product. And that same photography can be used over and over to enforce your brand and other collateral, everything from email to printed LTOs in your restaurant. Well, something to consider investing in. Number two, of course, this is a pet peeve of mine as a designer, but it's important for your designer to think about typography. So typography is another word for fonts. After all, the guest is going to be reading your menu ultimately. So there needs to be a real good flow of and an ease for the guest to navigate the content. So in choosing fonts, you're going to want to think about a hierarchy of fonts working together. So headline, subhead, item names, description, and price, kind of in that order of bigness or boldness, if you will. Headlines can be big and bold and have character and personality to reflect your brand, but the body copy needs to be truly legible. Prices don't need a dollar sign. You can skip those. They just take up space. And they also don't need to be listed with leader dots. Do you know what those are? When the dots go to the side and then you have your prices going down on a column. That's only handy if you're absolutely trying to sell things by price. But most restaurateurs like to sell things by the flavor or the description. So our recommendation is, if the item is of a great value, put the price right after the item name. And if you really want the people just to read through the description and be enticed by the flavor, put the price after the description. And as far as descriptions, by the way, less is more. We don't always need to include every single ingredient. In fact, adjectives and things, they're not necessary really anymore. You just want it to be a quick read. Again, it's for ease of navigating so the guests can order the food quickly. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I know that was a lot, but I'm going to show you some examples. And that's going to kind of illustrate the thought behind what I've just spoken to you about. So take a look at this family casual sit-down restaurant. They had about 10, I think. You can't really tell what kind of a theme it is. There's an awful lot of text. It's very tiny. How many sections do you see here? And what do they want me to buy? Everything with a star next to it? It's a little bit confusing, a little bit overwhelming, actually. It's going to take a while to get through this menu before you can actually place your order. Of course, you want to place your order because you're hungry and the server wants you to turn the tables quickly, etc. All right, so let's go to the next slide. This is what we came up with. I think you can see that we made it really much more interesting and really spoke to the brand. It's actually a sports bar, a family-oriented sports bar, which is indicated by the design, the bold colors and all on the cover. And if you now look at the inside, We've got big, bold headlines that all look like a sporty kind of font. It's very easy to find what you're looking for. And instead of having so many categories, we eliminated some of the categories. For example, under sandwiches, they have po' boys. Well, a po' boy is also a sandwich, so it doesn't really require its own section. So you can see here, we boxed the things that the restaurant really wanted to sell. So there are just one box per section, and it really guides you to that. And why wouldn't somebody want to order the things that have been highlighted and specifically promoted? I want you to see that at the center panel has all the biggest items, the things that really are the cash cows, I guess you could call them. Because you are typically, as a viewer, you're going to look at that center panel, and that's where your focus is going to be. I mean, unless you already know that you just want a salad, but you know that all their main things are right here in the center panel. But also think about how you read in a book. You read as a Z, so you end up in the right-hand bottom corner. And what do we have on the right-hand bottom corner here? Sides. And you know what sides are? They're an upsell, they're an add-on. It's something else that perhaps they hadn't thought of ordering. This is also really helpful to your profitability. So let's just go back real quick to the previous slide. And then we can go back. So now you can see, now we can go back to the real one. You can see the difference. I'm hopeful that you can see that this is much cleaner, easier to navigate, and a little more fun actually to review. And there's some extra notes here if you'd like to read those. At any rate, let's go to the next slide. This is a sandwich shop here in California. They have 20 restaurants, and they came to me with this menu. Believe it or not, that photography was really good photography, but I don't think it's been displayed very well in this particular instance. It's also a cheesesteak shop, but their main focus is hoagies in the center panel, which that did not make a lot of sense based on the things that I've told you about. And all the leader dots, you see here, they have the leader dots with the prices at the end. People are just going to go straight down that, and they're going to buy what costs the less. And secondly, they have all their cheapest stuff at the front, and all the stuff that they're going to make more money on, way like tucked in at the bottom. It's not making a lot of sense based on the facts that I've already provided you with. So let's go to the next slide. Well, look what we have here. This looks a lot more like a deli or a sandwich shop with a white, bright background. Believe it or not, the photographs are the same ones that were in the previous the previous menu that you just saw. So what we did here is we focused nice and big on the professional photography. You don't need to show the whole sandwich. We know what a sandwich is, but you want to show the flavor cues, the really good, yummy stuff that's on the inside. So we just took their photography and magnified it so that for impact and to whet somebody's appetite. And as you can see, we took all their cheesesteaks and put them in one big section. We have chicken and cheese all together. Chicken and steak all together in one section. Previously, they had one whole page was chicken, one whole page was steak, but they all have the same ingredients except for that one. So see what you can do to combine things as much as possible when you're getting your groups and your sections together. Again, you're going to find that we put fries and rings and add-ons bottom right-hand corner because it's an upsell. It's something they may not have thought of getting, but your eye rests on that side. And so hence we put that here. This is a trifold menu, by the way. If you'd like to go back and look at the previous one, and then go back to the new one. I think you can see the difference. And also you see we didn't have the leader dots here. We tucked the prices in next to every little item. Okay, I have one more example I'm going to show you. And it's on the next slide. And here is a menu board because I realized that a lot of restaurants use a menu board to instead of a paper menu. This is the same restaurant we were just talking about. However, the top board is what they had previously. As you can see, every single panel looks exactly the same. It's very hard to differentiate what is what which one is the hoagie? Where are the cheesesteaks? And why are they not called cheesesteaks? Why are they called sandwich? Your restaurant is called a cheesesteak. Things are really kind of out of order on this board. And the type is super, super small. And they're using menu dollar signs. And they're also got super teeny tiny little descriptions. So if you go down to the bottom here, you can see we consolidated items. We are still using the fonts that they're using in their paper menu. We've put the prices, even though they're in a column now, it's okay to do that on a menu board because it's a quicker read. Remember, people are standing in line now. They're not holding it in their hand. So it's okay to do line prices on a board. And then we kept the same orders. We'd already done all the strategy stuff for the takeout menu. So all we had to do is put it into a format that would be easy to read. The guests can easily find the section they're looking for. Do I want a hoagie? Do I want a cheesesteak? Do I want a salad? And you very quickly navigate to that panel, and then you can place your order at the counter. Of course, I realize that a lot of people are doing those, the digital place your own order, on a screen somewhere else, but this is for the traditional menu boards. Okay, I think that's all I have. I'm hoping to have helped you understand some of the thinking behind designing a profitable menu. It's a lot of strategizing that needs to happen before you're putting your menu offerings in print. Remember, this is your most powerful marketing tool because a truly successful menu will in fact support all aspects of your business: customer, the staff, the brand, and profitability. So thank you for listening. I hope you found this information useful as you move forward and grow with your restaurant business.
Thank
That's
you,
all I
Pia.
got.
Okay, we do have a question. Let me open it up here. The question is, do you need to have pictures on the menu, or is it fine with just text?
It's absolutely fine with just text. This was just something else that if you have it in your budget to do photography and you've actually spent it on something good, not a cell phone picture, and then you can use that image. For example, the sandwich shop I showed you, they've had this photography since 2015 and it's still relevant. We used it in all their print collateral. I mean, this thing has paid for itself over and over. The good thing with photography is people will always look at a photo and they'll buy that item. I mean, that's if you go to Coco's or IHOP or anything, of course, they have a picture of every single item. That's because that works for their audience. But yes, the answer to your question is you definitely don't. You can do it with color and graphics and placement. You don't have to have photography.
Right. I suppose the use of photography, like you said, can transcend from the menu to perhaps if you have online ordering or a website or you use social media. Those can all reinforce the deliciousness of your menu and your items that you're offering your guests.
Exactly. And as you saw on the walk-on menu, there were no photographs in that one. But that restaurant happened to have table tents and posters and stanchions in the restaurant that guided people to something that they wanted you to buy maybe that month, a limited time offer for just that month. Hey, we're really maximizing the fact that strawberries are inexpensive right now, so buy our strawberry pie, that kind of thing.
Great. Super question. Feel free if you have another question to drop it into the chat. We love them. What's the number one mistake you've seen people make on a menu, let's say?
Me?
Yes.
Number one mistake. There are so many. Okay, I would say listing prices really big and bold where people shop by price. You don't want your guests to shop by price. You want your guests to shop by what they're going to like. And you're the only one who knows what they're going to like. You know that this particular thing comes out of the kitchen consistently terrific every time. It's actually pretty inexpensive to make, but your guests love it. And because the guests love it, you're selling a lot of it. That's how you're going to make your money. Don't put it on a price. Don't let people focus on your price. It doesn't really help. And certainly don't go lowest price to highest. That's not going to work either. I would say I would say that that's the biggest mistake people make in terms of the profitability. They think it's only about the money. And honestly, that's just 1/4 of it.
Yeah. And how frequently should a restaurant evaluate their design of their menu? Is it something that you might do a major overhaul and then periodically check it? Or what would be your recommendation of reviewing your menu?
Well, I think a lot of the expense is going to come at your initial menu. So I don't believe that you need to change the actual design very frequently at all, maybe 5 years. But
Mhm.
that being said, we all know that prices and costs and products are going up all the time. So we do need to make adjustments about 3 times a year or twice a year on your pricing.
Mhm.
Also, you want to introduce new stuff. You can't keep doing the same old stuff or it's not going to work out for you. Consider always having a test item or something new that you want to promote so that when you do that price increase the next 6 months, that you have a new product that you're super excited about, because maybe you're excited about it because it's your chef just came up with something really great and delicious, or maybe you're just getting a really great deal on chicken right now, or certainly not on eggs, but that kind of thing. So I encourage you to keep your design if you put some money in it up front. I think that's the most important thing, and that's why I also said the thing about the photography. But don't need the photography. Put your thinking on your power grid. In other words, your 1, 2, 3 items in every section that speaks to all the things we've talked about: the customer, the staff, the brand, profitability.
That's great. And certainly working with a professional designer is important. And then there are additional resources from some vendors that might help with some of that menu engineering as well.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, if you're buying a product from somebody, you can ask them to sponsor your menu and just put their logo in there, Fresh Point or something like that. And they will. And then they'll give you some money for printing. Now, they don't do it for alcohol. For alcohol, you'd have to go through a third party. But if you have purveyors that are willing to give you, let's say, $500, that's really going to help you when you're doing your design. I mean, you can go to a lot of the little quick prints, and there's a lot of things online these days. You don't need to go to an agency like mine. There are other options, and certainly the web is really, very good at finding those things. And there are designers. Just keep in mind the points that I gave you and ask them if they understand that. And if they understand what you're talking about, then it's going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah, it is designing a menu is a skill, and there takes some strategy behind it. So making sure if you're going to pay someone to help you, make sure they know what they're doing.
Exactly. That's what I mean. And the strategy is going to come from you, the restaurant owner, and you with your chef and maybe somebody that's in charge of staffing, so that you do cover all those bases. Because I'm going to
Great.
assume everybody who has a restaurant that's listening to this is very well aware of what their brand is. You do know your brand, because that's why you started a restaurant, because you have this passion for specifically this kind of food. That's what I'm gaining from what I've heard anyway.
Yeah, that's great. Really good advice, practical tips, and great advice. And I love being able to see examples. Thank you, Pia, for sharing all of
You're
that
welcome.
information.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Really love it. So next up is March 21st, also at 9:30. We will be talking, it fits really beautifully, I think, on the heels of this presentation, about public relations and marketing your restaurant. We have 2 experts joining us, founder of Powerhouse & Co., and a woman who's a digital marketing expert for a pretty large brand who's been in restaurants most of her career. So there'll be, of course, time for questions, and they'll share some great ideas and expertise, even if you're, a single operation to having multiple locations, on how to get some earned media and market your restaurant. So that's March 21st at 9:30. Follow us at Restaurants Care on Instagram. Let us know how things are going for your restaurant. And please don't forget about our individual granting program for your staff members should they face a crisis. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, please contact us at resilience@restaurantscare.org. And we thank you for joining us, and we wish you a very happy and good week. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.